Welcome back to the Somerville and Brewcast, the official podcast of the Somerville and Brew Alliance, located here in beer-soaked Somerville, Massachusetts, just outside of Boston. Getting close to the mic just sounds so much better.
These tech upgrades are just wonderful.
I'm Jason Ng.
And I'm Alex Rogers, and you have not missed a beat, despite so much time off.
It's ingrained in my head. Like, I just read it. It's on the back of my eyelids.
You wake up in the middle of the night sweating, just reciting it.
Yeah.
This is like, please, what are you doing?
Here's Somerville, Massachusetts. Yes, this is who we are. It's been quite a while. We've taken quite the break. Yes. This has been a really long time.
We started out, we were like, every week, new episode. Like, no, that's not going to happen.
No, 1 month later, we're like, should we record?
How about, next month looks good.
Yeah, next month looks good. We've been trying to schedule podcast recordings for the longest time, and it seems like we're both very busy. What have you been up to? What have you been doing?
Not fun stuff. Just normal human stuff.
No. We've done one fun thing. I was going to mention this. We went New Year's Eve to the Glitter Boys.
No, that's very true, yeah. I don't even know how to describe it, which is what I went into and came out of the same impression as what the Glitter Boys are. It's DJs. I can say that definitively.
All vinyl DJs.
All vinyl DJs.
It was great. From what, like 60s and 70s music?
Oh, it was like staged where it was like 60s, 70s, and I think closed out with 80s. But it was like leading up to midnight and then a little bit beyond. So we did that for New Year's Eve. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool. With a lot of the beer group.
Yeah, basically all of the beer
group. All of the beer group. Not drinking great beers, by the way, is pretty much just, at least me, I was slamming PBRs and High Lifes like all night long.
I actually had Aeronaut. Like,
you did?
I think I had like their last Aeronaut that was like buried somewhere. I was like, I'll have that one right there.
See, I wanted to have a good night and guarantee it, so that's why I went with the champagne of beers.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go for the blue ribbon when you want in first place for your first place night. Again, sponsorships for this show are completely open. I think I stressed that since episode 1.
They're unwarranted because we keep talking to everybody all the time about our awesome, cool beers that we drink. So we brought like just a smattering of random beers here.
It's funny because like we're like, we need to record. What can we drink tonight? And like, oh, how about 4 amazing beers that just happen to be sitting around?
Yeah,
that's the life of my fridge is like half beer right now.
It seems to be doing amazingly well, our collection. Maybe it's because we just haven't been recording in a while. We haven't been drinking great beer on a regular basis. Yeah, like, but we keep buying it.
Yeah, I guess it's really good podcast listening for you to ask, like, what have you been doing? I'm like, nothing exciting. There's no reason you should be tuning in right now. This is just welcome to the most boring episode I can possibly give you.
You switch back to NPR, stop listening to us. You're not going to
You might have noticed, though, that the recording quality is significantly better.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I'm saying that for you.
We fired Brewbot. Oh, that's what happened.
Did we?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was the government shutdown.
Oh, and he's literally shut down.
He was DARPA funded.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was a weird contract.
We had to ship it back. Yeah, very strange contract, especially for contract people. I don't know how we got him.
You know what I think is going to happen? I think he's going to come back much higher quality produced beats and bucks. And I think it's going to be more sporadic. I see you trying to get out of the work.
Mixes on mixes.
Yeah, just remixes. He's gonna have like a new remix of Carlin's song.
Oh God. You know what we should do, speaking of Carlin's song, is talk about stories.
Oh wow. Yeah, let's I don't even know who to tell to cue it. Cue it up.
No, don't. Just go. Do you have a story lined up?
Yeah.
I got mine.
Oh, okay.
You got yours on your phone?
You know what? You the gentleman that you are, you always let me go first. Why don't you go first?
Okay. So this is what I found, and it's from the New York Times. So it's official, right? Okay, so basically what it is sales are slumping in craft beer. That's another reason why we haven't been doing as many podcasts. The beer is shit now.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding.
It's awful.
So craft beer is trying to branch out. And the title of the New York Times article is "Craft Beer Looks Beyond Young White Dudes with Beards."
Hey.
They have some slowing sales. They're like, oh, who else can we get to buy our swag and our wares?
Well, I guess my money's no longer good.
Yeah. So they're looking for a more diverse audience. And the article basically talks about how there's a couple things that's happening. Wine and beer are getting a little bit more even. A lot of people are going to wine and spirits and have gotten off the craft beer train a little bit.
Right.
But I think just normal beer sales have gone down just across the board. And you also have cannabis deregulation coming. So I think everybody's also spending their disposable income on, they're waiting for that time that they can buy weed legally. So what do you do if you're a small craft brewer, one of the 7,000 small independent brewers out there? You start branching out and making beers for a more diverse crowd.
Right.
So there's a couple things that people have been doing. One of them is, what was it down here? There's a beer, it's called Bow and Arrow, I think, which they are in the Southwest, and they make things for, or make beers that are geared towards Native Americans because they're close to Indian reservations.
Oh, that's good PR.
Well, they're owned by Native Americans too.
Okay,
so Missy
that's slightly better.
Bigay and Shyla Shepherd at Bow and Arrow Brewing Company. First of all, they look very awesome in their cool hats, and I'm sure they make some great beer. And I'm sure they make some they say they have like sour ales with label art from indigenous artists and things like that, which I think is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And then they also talk about this Baja style beer, this Mexican brewing tradition that's done by a couple people in the Southwest as well, like Thorn Brewing in San Diego. So this is stuff that it's not necessarily, I don't know how else you would appeal to a more diverse audience other than saying like, it sounds weird because it sounds like the craft beer industry is like culturally appropriating certain things, but I think it's more of that, like they're people that are adopting these new styles to make beer and then selling it as, you know, what this is, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very similar to what happened to Big Soda, right? Because I mean, they went Baja style with the Baja Blast Mountain Dews. I assume it's the same process.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
It starts with that weird
watch out for the neon
color.
Yeah, the neon colors that come out of it. That could be really bad. One thing that is bad about this is, so I think a part of what we've just been talking about, the two examples that I at least said, were these breweries are using different styles of brewing, or they're being brewed by diverse peoples and not your average white guy with a beard. So
white people notoriously racist. So it's
you're racist white bearded people. How do you get more people who are not white to brew your beer? You need to be able to get those types of brewers, and you need to be able to get those types of people interested in brewing in the first place. Mm-hmm. So one of the breweries that did that was Tired Hands, right? And they had this post. This is their Instagram one, is Diversity Brewer, and they had this internship program, right? And I think on the face, that was great to say that, like, I am specifically looking for diversity hires as a brewer. This is an unpaid internship program.
There we go.
So yeah, as soon as you do that, then everybody comments on it, and it's like, oh, this is some bullshit right here. Like, is this? It's trying to fight racism, but is it being racist in being? Look,
they're only looking for free, diverse labor.
Yeah, it sounds really bad.
Optics, right?
How do you solve this diversity problem? And I wanted to point out, like, there's thousands of comments like on this internship program thing. One of them is, which I thought was funny, is like, don't know if you're trying to spell racism or just making up your own words.
Here's the thing, like, whenever you take a marketing campaign online, like, I love watching a company be very incredibly proud of being woke online.
Yeah.
It is a wasted effort. You will get so many assholes, like, just right out the gate.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that we don't have more. I mean, it's
but I
with
love
our
this.
massive listeners, I'm sure, but
yeah. But how do you get a more diverse culture, or a lot of different backgrounded people brewing beer in the United States?
Well, I think Bow and Arrow actually has a good good tactic is that it's not that you co-opt the culture, but you like not from the outside, I should say that you co-opt it from within. So like being Native Americans that own a Native American themed brewing and like using practices that are their local practices, it gets that same interest that got all the hipsters interested in like their local community beer, the small breweries. I think you can emulate that with breaching the cultural divide between, you know, craft beer not only being for bearded white people.
Yeah, I totally get it. And I think it's great. I haven't read through it, but the Brewers Association has a diversity best practices thing that they put online to help like-minded craft brewers think of inclusion while growing their businesses. And I think that's great, mainly because whenever I go to a brewery, I see a quintessential, like, not obese but maybe obese white guy who's like 5'11" and has like the biggest, thickest beard ever. Yep. And then there's like a couple of skinny guys also that just look angry. And then you have the one cool girl, and that's it. That's what happens. That's the only thing
in my
see there.
mind. It's like this BBC documentary about like Earth 3. And it's like the ocean, but there's a whale, and there's all these like fish that are attached to the whale. But that's the craft brewing scene. It's like you got one whale, a bunch of tag-alongs, and then one dolphin.
Basically, that's what this is. We need more dolphins. We need more sea turtles in brewing next to that whale.
Yeah, I wish that this had been.
And we also need some different whales.
Yeah, we need more whales. Actually, they would have been such a. Here's the thing. I've said before on this podcast, I'm the master of transitions. I wish that I had brought the transition of sharing that the new packaging rings they have for 6-packs that are that are edible by like sea turtles.
Oh, and we should eat them?
Yeah, before the sea turtles do, because like why would they get to eat them and I don't?
That's true.
Like feed me garbage.
They're so selfish. We can totally do that.
Oh, need to get some. But here's the transition. Feeding garbage. Are you done with your story? I am steamrolling you like crazy.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Great.
I'm done.
Yep.
End it right there.
So, feeding garbage. You ready for this transition?
Feeding garbage.
Feeding someone garbage. White House hamburger dinner. Government shutdown. My story.
Perfect.
It's just so smooth. That's why I had to block it out.
I can only imagine what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, so mine is also from a trusted network, the Clinton News Network, the CNN Politics. This is D.C. craft brewery sues, says that the shutdown may hurt new beer sales. A Washington, D.C. based craft brewery sued the Trump administration on Tuesday over the ongoing shutdown it says is threatening to prevent it from selling a new beer. The lawsuit from Atlas Brewworks claims the administration is harming its free speech rights by requiring compliance with a federal law administered by an agency whose operations are not funded through the shutdown.
What?
So they have to go actually and get approval through the administration.
Like for the new names of beers and things like that. Yeah, so we've heard a couple stories
for them to
about
release
that.
things. And their argument is that you're preventing them from a free speech matter of like expressing this creative work that they have and getting the approval. And it's kind of a creative argument, if I'm being honest. I don't know that it'll work, but it's pretty cool. So, summarizing that, federal law requires the brewery to have certificates of label approval for beer to be sold across state lines. So, Atlas says in its court filing, Atlas said in its court filing. However, Atlas has been unable to get such approval for some of its seasonal apricot-infused IPAs, specifically one called the Precious One, because the Treasury Department's Alcohol and Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau has not been processing applications through the shutdown. So, the shutdown, it's kind of funny, like, because it impacts all these different things. Like, there are definitely more dire things than beer that it's impacting, like people not getting paid and their families are having to like get free dinners by
Hey, those breweries are made by families, though.
They are. So like, I mean, it seems to be a little cavalier with it, but those are small businesses, and they're highly impacted by something as silly as this government shutdown. You think like, well, it's non-essential employees, but it's also these small businesses, and even the beer that we drink is impacted by that. So you're not getting your apricot beer from Atlas Brewing or anything that's over state lines. Because they just can't go to work to approve these labels, like very simple applications.
So it sounds like they're not being prevented from selling beer that has already been branded correctly, right?
Right. So I think they can still, and I think the biggest issue they have, or at least standing they have, is that they're talking about sales over state lines. So they have standing to get to federal because of that.
Oh,
but
got it. Yeah.
Approvals even for like new labels. I don't know if it impacts them just purely in the DC area, because that's a different thing, right? Because DC is not its own state.
Well, it definitely makes a lot of sense if your brewery, who has a very tight brew schedule,
right,
and you've already set aside all of these days to make brand new lines or brand new brands, and now you can't sell them all, and you're not sure where to store them. Right. If you are making all of this, and is it just going to be sitting around, or can you drink it locally? You can't sell it interstate wise,
right? And
are you allowed to?
I mean,
sell
the
it
DC
locally?
market's not huge. You know, I mean, it's big, but it's not. You're talking about shipping across state lines to get the bulk of your sales.
Yeah.
And that's tough. And if you can't get it approved, you're stuck with like what you have now, which again, they're trying to process seasonal stuff to be relevant and compete with things.
True.
And you just can't. And like you said, you're on a schedule. Like a lot of times you have them mapped out in brewer schedules, so it's actually become popular to release that. You see Night Chef release theirs where they say, you know, these are the seasons. Or these are
That's how you get people to keep coming back.
Right. So they can't drive that because there's no predictability. So it's definitely going to have a bigger impact on business than I think is anticipated for something like craft brewers.
So there's a good reason why we should take another break and not do another weekly episode. There's going to be no new beer.
Yeah, this is all the new beer there is.
Okay.
It's just Bud Lights after that. But I will say Bud Light is still cranking out those the Bud Night commercials and the Medieval Kingdom commercials. Like, I'm wondering how long that's going to go. Is this going to be like decades long?
Oh, straight through the end of Game of Thrones at the very least, right?
Wow, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's just that's who's
got
going
to
to sit on
going.
the throne is the Bud Knight.
Yeah,
it just completely screws everybody over.
If they don't continue it through the very last episode of Game of Thrones, then that's just silly.
Yeah,
no. I can't wait for that to start up again. Oh,
I can't wait to see King Hot Pie. I think that's really what I've been waiting on.
He's the obvious.
He's the only one that
person
can govern
to be on the throne.
He in the chaos. So talk about a shutdown. Like all the chaos it's caused in there. Like no one can open a business. Everybody's getting like raided and just like stolen everything. Hot Pie has opened up a fucking hotel and inn and got all this like food rolling and just uninterrupted by any of the chaos. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Hot Pie should rule.
Yeah, agreed.
The end.
The end. All right, so that's not a abrupt transition from where you were.
Okay, so
to
I started
beer.
good with my transitions. Now I've trailed off like I normally do.
Okay, let's start drinking some beer. We've already started with a couple that just wet the palate. Yeah. We're ready to go. We got 4 beers here. And it looks like we have them all from the Northeast again.
Yep.
So we're not being too unoriginal here. All right. So I brought 2, and I'm going to tell you one of them we've talked about in an earlier episode, and I wanted to taste it because I think it's great. The Campfire Beer Relsilience IPA that was a. I'll talk about it later. The other one is 4 Quarters up in Vermont. Their brewing company is made Peach Shakedown, which is an IPA with peaches and lactose. Oh man, I can't wait. I think this is going to be a good one. Yeah, a good milkshake beer. And then you have 2. What did you bring? An old
favorite, one of my actual favorites of all time, Dinner by Maine Beer Co. As you may be able to
tell. Have we had that on this episode?
So in our IP All Stars episode, we had lunch, dinner, heady topper, sip of sunshine. The reason we're bringing it back today is we have something special. They had released second dinner, and we have that tonight. So it was the 5-year anniversary of making Dinner. I will vet that as we go through. But I think it was 5 years. But it was really cool. So like they're able to brew so much more of it now. I actually revisited their facility about a month ago. It's so much bigger. Like they have so much more space and so much more going on brew wise. You can walk in and buy basically a case of anything at any time, which is so cool.
That's really cool.
Distribution. I mean, you're seeing Maine Beer Co. everywhere now. I saw it down in Connecticut, like not just like Peeper Ale, but everything now. So it's really cool. So we have dinner and second dinner by Maine Beer Co. to try tonight too. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Awesome. All right, let's try some of these. Let's go to opening our first can. Okay, so the first beer that we're going to drink is Relsilience IPA. So this particular Relsilience IPA is brewed by Down the Road Beer Company in, is it Everett? Yeah, Everett, Massachusetts is where they are, right across the river, the Mystic Valley River, across from Somerville. So what happened was Sierra Nevada released their recipe for the Relsilience IPA and asked everybody else to brew it and then commit all of their proceeds to support those impacted by the campfire. Down the Road Beer Company is one of the local places here who decided to make one. And first of all, their beer label is amazing. So it's in a regular tallboy can.
Honestly, they always knock it out of the park.
Oh, man.
This is gorgeous art each time. It's
very
really cool.
colorful Phoenix. It looks really cool. It says done by In Touch Labels Packaging. Man, this is really cool. And I'm super glad that we got to buy some of this and try it out for us. So I'm going to pop this bad boy open. Hopefully it is as good as the Phoenix looks. And now I think we talked about the ingredients here earlier. It's a very basic IPA recipe. So that even if you're a home brewer, you would be able to make this and hopefully get the same type of product as you're getting from the breweries.
That, and I guess that's worth a mention too. Another thing that's affected by the shutdown is the wildfires. they cut off funding for like a lot of that. So there's another aspect that's just, it's craft beer and it's also the fires that may be murdering so many people.
Well, help them out and drink more beer, right?
I'm trying.
So we poured this. It doesn't have much of a head on it, but there's a lot of bubbles. It is a clear amber looking IPA, as you would expect like your basic IPAs to be. This is not something that's like out to be super crazy or anything. This is something that's made to be simple, easily reproducible from a whole bunch of different sources. I think this is pretty hoppy, but you can taste. What am I thinking of? It's not like super hoppy IBU wise, but you can taste and smell the hops in there.
Yeah, I could smell the hops for sure. I thought it was going to have more of a malt taste to it than it did, but the back end's very sweet, like you would get with a malt heavy beer.
Mm-hmm. I think it's very. I keep wanting to say basic, but this is a middle of the road beer. I don't think I'm gonna go out of my way to buy it. Except for the fact that I know it's supporting the people at the campfire. So I'm going to be like, yes, all right, I'm going to drink this.
What I think is interesting in this, and I think it would be good and fun to compare all the different ones that the Relsilience IPAs, like all the different variations, to see if they're genuinely the same. Because I think even with the same recipe, brewing practice is going to impact that still. But I don't know.
Maybe we should have tasted multiple Relsilience IPAs from different breweries. That would be actually really interesting. I think the malt might be too dark for the hop.
It is. There's mixture. A huge imbalance here. It's almost like a burnt or smoky.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't want to say cigarette, but it does have kind of a cigarette kind of taste.
Not good. Cigarettes from Down the Road Beer Company.
Good news, cigarette juice.
It is to support people in a fire, so maybe this is a little smoky.
Yeah. Ooh. This is all getting cut. Not making it to the production run.
No.
But no, I mean it is very basic, and it's interesting because like it reminds me of something, but I can't quite place it because it's really hoppy, really bitter on like the intake, but then has kind of a lingering sweetness from the malt.
This is what I think your average American pale ale tastes like, right?
I think this is like before I got into IPAs. This is like every IPA that I had before that. So before like New England IPAs, a very run in the mill like what you would actually get anywhere in the country that you would go to. An IPA would be this, like an American Pale Ale.
Yeah. I can definitely see how we've progressed from this point. Okay, so this is okay as a starting point.
I think,
and now let's get crazy.
That's a big part of it too. Is I think we're so used to having so much additional flavor and additives to it, we don't really recognize I keep using the word basic, but it seems offensive. But it's a standard IPA.
Yes, and this is something that everybody can make. So I understand it. I respect it. Am I gonna buy a whole bunch of it and love it?
No, maybe it's not something I'm gonna get a whole lot of. It's again, it's for such a good cause. Definitely go out and try it. It's a good beer. I'm not meaning to knock it and say it's not a good beer, but I think in the array of everything you have in front of you, it's not the strongest.
Yeah.
I will say Down the Road has taken it up a notch though with their their labeling on this. Just the phoenix that has roses growing out of her.
That's actually why I originally wanted to buy this, because I saw the phoenix on here, and it's fabulous. And I was like, yes, I'm going to try that. And then I found out that it was the Relsilience IPA. I was like, okay, well, two birds, one stone. But I would have bought whatever this Phoenix guy was selling.
I actually went out to. Have you been out to Down the Road with all the pinball machines and everything?
No, I keep wanting to, and I have not done it yet.
It's so fun.
Yeah,
it's a cool.
They have like 10 pinball machines there or something, right?
Yeah, it's like both walls are just covered with pinball machines. Like really cool ones too. It's kind of weird, but it's like their beer selection's cool. I went there one day when like they were just opening, because I think we were like Danielle and I were in the area, and we had a chance to sit down and talk to them about some stuff. I would love to go back there with the podcast and talk to them more in depth, because they have really cool stories about their artwork and how it's worked with it. And yeah, it's every time I see something on the shelf, I know that it's Down the Road, because it's like a piece of art sitting on the shelf. So it's really cool.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna move on. Thank you, Relsilience IPA, and we feel good because we've contributed to people affected by the campfire.
We've done our part.
We did our part.
The American way.
All right, so next we're moving to Four Quarters Brewing, Peach Shakedown. It says keep cold, drink fresh, recycle. There's not much else on here. It's another Tallboy can. And just a cartoon hand holding a piece of a peach down Shakedown Street. And it looks pretty funny. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me a little bit of like Bob's Burgers. In the background a little bit.
It's the art of the hand too, because that looks like a Bob's Burgers drawing hand.
yeah. I'm excited for this because I've been a fan of milkshake beers lately. I don't know what it is, but when you add that lactose and get a little bit more creaminess in there and I think it enhances some of the fruit flavors that you get in an IPA. And yeah, all of a sudden you have this like new creature that is half milkshake, half beer. I like it.
So this is that craze that I've not been able to fully participate in, because I am one of those lucky human beings that cannot process lactose.
Oh wait, are you serious?
I can have some of it. I'm going to try some of it. I have to be very sparing.
I forgot about that.
But it's such a popular thing, and looking at this, it pours way clearer than any other milkshakes out there, or milkshake IPA that I've seen.
Yes, it does. Most of them are cloudy.
Yeah.
And they look a little bit like a milkshake. This is like Budweiser clear.
Yeah.
Right? Like this looks like a lager almost. It's got a great head.
It's a very light head on it. It's got a lot of carbonation going through it. Very light, crisp looking. It smells.
That smells like some peaches.
It's like peach water. But let's hold on.
I know. I knew it. You were going to bring it up.
I just went right by that. I missed so many opportunities. You brought a peach beer.
I did. I did. Lambics, I think, are a little bit different than milkshake beers.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, this is like one of those alternate timelines where it's like Berenstein or Bearstein or whatever the two differences between those two worlds is.
You know, now you're going to make me want to hate this beer.
Yeah, no, I'm
That's
fine.
exactly what just happened.
Yeah, well, the head disappeared on yours in disappointment. I think.
Yes.
So the head is dying down kind of quickly, but there's still so much carbonation going through it. With like a lot of lactose beers, if you can actually see the debris in it sometimes. So I don't know if that's from the fruit or if from them actually introducing lactose into
Maybe
it.
that's just the glass that I gave you.
It could be. No, I've had some from Mighty Squirrel that did the same thing. So
yeah.
I think it's the particulate will still build up in it and still be very visible when you do a pour.
Gotcha.
You just don't see it. I don't think maybe you don't see it a lot because it's usually cloudier.
All right, I'm going to taste this bad boy. Oh, man. That is so creamy for how it looks.
No, that's wild. Because looking at this, you would not expect it to have that. It is. I mean, that tastes like a milkshake. It's
That's
like,
nuts.
That creamy and that kind of full taste.
That's something that I would expect out of a very, very cloudy glass of beer.
Yeah, it looks like a easily crushable kind of beer, slammable kind of beer.
And now, one thing that I want to say, comparing this to that peach lambic.
Yep.
Peach lambic was like straight
Sugar.
like it was straight sugar peach O's out of like a candy bag.
Not hearing the problem.
This one, I can taste hops, I can taste beer, and there's that sweetness on the back end.
Sure.
I love not just fucking sugar water.
Yeah, no, it is more complex, and I hear what you're saying. You can definitely taste the hops in this one. It's
pretty bitter.
It is like especially when it sits, like the sweetness hits you initially and then just kind of fades away. It has no lingering sweetness to it, which kind of surprises me because it's so sweet up front. I actually think the Relsilience has a little bit more of a lingering sweetness than this does, which surprised me because it's so bitter on the
I don't
intake.
know if I agree with you on that.
Well, you can't be right about everything like I am.
I will say this: it's a no, I can't. This is stupid. The old dad joke. I was going to say this is a bittersweet symphony.
So yeah, play that entire song.
Yeah. Thank God Brewbot's not here anymore. That guy would have been all over it.
I miss that guy. We're bringing him back. he's coming back as soon as the government shutdown's over.
Our next robot is going to be from Boston Dynamics, and he's going to be sweet, and he can run like 30 miles an hour.
Watch Black Mirror? Like they literally made that because of Boston Dynamics. It's like, oh, we made this murder bot. Is this cool?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I know.
We take the murder bot and we just like slap our logo on the front, and then we make a mix audio. That's all we do, right?
I can't even imagine what the initial sales pitch was for Boston Dynamics making that murder dog that they made, because they're like, don't worry, we'll solve for any sort of obstacle you can put in its way.
Oh, they're like, hey, you like the movie Terminator?
What about that plus dogs?
Yeah. They have not breached the subject of Terminator dogs.
You know,
yet.
like it's not the Honda. What's the Honda robot? The little is it Asimo or is that's South Park?
It could be Asimo.
Yeah, it might be. He looks
Might be
non-threatening.
South Park. That's how bad it's gotten.
The world's so stupid.
We're not sure if it's fiction or non-fiction anymore.
Everything's one
Yeah.
blob. But that he doesn't look threatening because he just kind of like walks around and like he
Very slowly.
can't really handle steps.
Yeah.
But then they have the murder dog that can like leap over fences on a treadmill and you're
And
like,
open doors.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's a mix of like Terminator and Jurassic Park.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. He just needs some like just claws to like randomly tap on things.
It's like, what if we made it bloodthirsty? Like, why does it need that feature? Like, well, it can have it.
Yeah. What if we just made it run on blood?
Yeah, blood fuel.
It's just looking to recharge, man. Can't hate on him. All right.
So beer. Yeah,
you know, another thing I can't hate on, this peach shakedown by Four Corners.
That's such a smooth transition. Smooth, like the feel of this beer is just so smooth and creamy. Yeah, this is a good beer.
I like it. It's 6.9% ABV.
That's
you
kind of
can't
surprising.
taste it that much.
You said it was from Vermont, but I don't think legally they can make anything under 6%. I think they
That's true.
run them out of the state.
Yeah, that's a state law now. Oh man, great beer, really good beer.
Yeah,
So yeah, mark that down. There is
good.
a peach beer that I like.
Yeah, that goes in the category of I'm not sure if I'm in the right universe anymore. Barons. Weinstein.
It just took a year for us to find one.
So let's revisit something that we've done before. So this is Dinner by Maine Beer Co. This is out of Freeport, Maine, just outside of Portland. As we discussed before, they have very basic labeling.
So basic,
but they
this
thrive.
looks like the guy across your street that tells you he homebrews and he makes it and then like gives you like a beer. That's what this looks like.
Well, I mean, that was their beginning.
He's like, Ted across the street has decided to homebrew. He put a label on it and he wants you to try it.
That's pretty much how they got started with Peeper Ale. They went house to house with, or not house to house. They didn't like bang on people's doors. They had it in beer in coolers, and they would just sell it out of coolers. It was the Peeper Ale. It still has that look, and I'll say they succeed on the merits of the quality of their beer. And Dinner, that they still sell tickets for it. I think it's a lot easier to get Dinner than it used to be because, like I said, they've expanded production. They can do a lot more of it, so it's a lot easier to get your hands on Dinner now. And they've also expanded all the different types of stuff they did. But revisiting Dinner's their double IPA, very popular beer.
Did you buy that around here, by the way?
No, I actually bought this in Freeport.
Have you seen Dinner around the area, and have they been on the shelves? Because so the story that I have is that like I went to Total Wine and I went there and I was like just looking through the seasonal stuff just to see what they had, and they have like this one, I guess like shelf counter something or other that like normally is manned by someone, but in the back was just a cardboard case of Dinner, and then on the front was just like one per customer, but they didn't have it on display or anything. You had to literally walk around the counter to go grab it.
Wow. And
then walk out. I was like, okay, well, I guess that's what we're doing.
Total Wine, that's kind of interesting. Like they have amazing selection,
but just like one case.
It could have just been somebody that
really
interesting. Like, went up to Freeport, grabbed one case, and came back.
So have you seen Dinner around here? Like I've seen on the shelves.
I've seen lunch, post ride snack, all of them except for Dinner, and the other one we'll be having. Dinner is the only one I haven't seen, so it's kind of cool that it's making its way down here for that because slowly, but it's good. I mean, it's so popular, and I remember when I first started getting really into like the New England craft brew scene, like it was rare to find any Maine Beer Co. around. Like you really had to search it out, and it was kind of lucky if you got it. Now it's in like a lot of the grocery stores. It's like, it's everywhere. But yeah, Dinner, I'm surprised to hear that's still really cool. This is also one of those beers that I think I brought it up the last time. One of the beer companies that they make donations off of everything that they sell. So they take 1% of whatever beer they're selling, and they have a rotating charity they donate to. So it's another feel-good beer on top of that. Pouring up the Dinner, it's going to look a little familiar.
Ooh, it sounds delicious.
I know, right?
Give me that beer.
There's you at Dinner.
Yeah, that looks good. This is your classic color for a New England IPA.
Yeah, very golden. This is
golden. Just hazy enough. Pretty golden. Still a little translucent, so it's not like super haze.
Yeah, it's not opaque. It's you can still get a little bit of the see-through quality, but you have, I think, what's cool about this is not a fresh bottle of Dinner. So this one says it was bottled, looks like beginning of September actually. So it's this is actually an older bottle, but it has like a golden cone in it from where it's sat. And I love when you age beer how sometimes you get that golden cone in the middle of it. So yeah, I mean it smells super actually malty.
Smells like Dinner.
And it tastes like Dinner. So it's very smooth. Like I would say it's so dangerously drinkable, all of their beer. Higher gravity, like high ABV. This one I think clocks in at 8.2. But it doesn't feel like an 8.2 to me. Like it's
not 8.2.
I don't know if that's the alcoholism speaking, where I'm like, I don't even feel it anymore. Hit me with the pain. Or if it's just genuinely disguised. And I think it's the latter. I think that it has such a good flavor profile and such a balanced beer that it's really good. I want to immediately jump into our second one here, and the reason we revisited Dinner is because I brought Second Dinner. Second Dinner, the notes on the back says, from day one, doing things right no matter what. is the description they have on everything, so we're going to cover it. It says, from our original whale lunch to our double IPA dinner, our hoppy beers keep us wanting more naturally. We want seconds. Drink this beer fresh. Drink it the day you buy it. Breaking that rule. But I did drink it whenever they had it on tap, and I will say there is a distinct difference between these.
So, yeah, is this a triple IPA? Like, what's the difference between this and dinner?
So I've been trying to find it, and to be honest, I think it's just a slight variation on dinner.
It says double IPA on the front.
It's still a double. Still a double. This one's going to be fresher because this was back in early December. This one clocks in only at 8% by volume, so it's a little bit weaker. But I think even as I pour it, if I remember correctly from having it on tap, it looks slightly different.
It does look lighter and less hazy.
Yeah.
About the same color though. Yeah, it's just a little bit clearer and might be a little bit more carbonated.
Which is probably definitely due to its age. And I think that's more that than anything. I think it's definitely a brighter, like if you hold it up with light backing, it has a more preserved, like throughout the body, just bright yellow.
Yeah. Now on the smell of this, with dinner, I smell your general super juicy floral notes on it, but with second dinner, I'm not getting as much of that.
Right.
Even though it's fairly similar of a smell. This is a lot more subtle.
More like a hybrid between lunch and post-ride snack, like the Session IPA. And I think that might be what, without telling us the route that they took.
Like dinner might be even like a little funkier.
Yeah. I'm trying to taste them back to back now.
Tastes delicious. It's a great beer. I would slam that. Definitely.
Yeah, it feels lighter body than dinner to me. Dinner feels a lot heavier than second dinner to me.
I think it's hoppier.
I think so too. But it's crisp. It's a little bit lighter body. I really genuinely think it feels more like a hybrid between lunch and post-ride snack, instead of a more concentrated dinner.
Yeah. However, if I was not trying these back to back and you told me one was dinner and one was second dinner, I wouldn't know.
It'd be really
I really wouldn't. Be like, oh no, this is great. Like whatever this is.
Was this dinner?
No, it's second dinner. Are you sure?
And I think what we've been remiss in telling you is that the amazing label design on second dinner. I know dinner was very basic.
There's a second in front.
It had just a basic orange dinner in very nice cursive. This has second in front of it in purple. So this is different.
I really hope whoever designed that label got paid so much more. At least twice as much.
I just hope someone shows up every day and they go, and they have to be like, that's wonderful. You did such a good job on the label design.
All right, so labeling across the board. I just want to say Relsilience knocks it out of the park. It is fantastic. I want a tattoo of this friggin' phoenix on the back.
It looks like an American tattoo, is it American traditional, or whatever the style is. It looks like something someone would have tattooed in that style, and it's gorgeous. Bob's Burgers fan, so I think that Peach Shakedown has to take second there.
I think the most creative one for sure is Peach Shakedown.
It's the most colorful. It's it definitely. Now that you've said Bob's Burgers, I can't get it out of my mind.
Because you think it's Louise just like throwing some peaches at your face.
Mm-hmm. Eat it.
Yeah, definitely.
So how are we going to do this? This is my favorite part, and I say this every time because I mean it. I love ranking the beers. I love tearing somebody down.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, as a caveat, no matter the outcome here, you should still support the number 4 in my mind.
I'm gonna say my caveat is that I would slam all of these beers.
Oh, 100%.
Like all of them are very drinkable. I like all of them.
Front to back, these are all like very drinkable beers. I think if you were wanting to try something new, something fun, or even like a classic like dinner, these are all very drinkable beers, something that would be a go-to for me, like something I would want to experience. So, all really good beers.
All right, so your number 4 is got to be Relsilience.
It is.
It hurts you.
Should we do our rankings?
Yeah? We should probably do that.
Commercial break.
All right. Commercial break. We're going to rate these real quick, and then we'll be back in 1 second. Oh, man, and we're back. It's only been 1 second.
Wow, yeah. It's just as much time has passed for you as it has us.
Yep. All right, so we rated everything, obviously, 1 to 10 in our 5 amazingly awesome, or maybe 6 amazingly awesome categories. I can't remember. We have packaging, we have smell, we have taste, the big one. We have creativity, and then we have intangibles, which is still labeled as extra mile on my spreadsheet.
Yep.
And then the best one, slammability.
Yeah, arguable.
I just want to say all of them are slammable this time around. That's great.
They are. Yes. I hate to admit that. It's giving ground to you on a core issue that's going to divide this podcast. I need Ryan in here.
That's the binary. That's the 1 or 0 that really matters in here. Okay, so let's talk about these things. Highest to lowest, or should we go at the bottom?
Let's do our bottom up. I think that's the easiest way.
I agree with what we have here. It's a 6.02 out of 10 Relsilience IPA.
And it's taste that's dragging it down, and I hate to be that way because it is for such a good cause. It really is, but it is a run of the mill, and I agree with the overall taste average being 5. That's run of the mill. Like, that's middle of the road by default. So, like,
and I agree with the packaging. That's 9.5.
Damn near perfect packaging. Again, that art is just really, really good. You can't beat that. But then I think
I actually agree with this entire lineup, by the way, how it ended up on the spreadsheet.
It's kind of how I had them.
Really? So, Good. So, third place is Second Dinner.
Yeah, which
8.25, which is actually pretty high for us.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but it's right in that back of, Maine Beer Co. beers are just strong beers. Just hands down they are. They lack in packaging, and packaging pulled this one way down, and it will for both of these. It's just not creative.
Nope.
It's very bland, and that's their brand, though. Like, their brand is basic. And I can appreciate that, but we're on the creativity game here for packaging. But yeah, you get smell was nice. Really what drove this one was the big one, which was taste.
Yeah, taste is amazing, and that's what is the intangibles part of this too, is that we love Maine Beer Co. Mm-hmm. They make amazing beers. This one tastes fantastic. And is it really that creative? No, not really, because it's an IPA. It's just another one of these things now, and it's become a staple at this point because it's so good.
But I drove my ass all the way up to Maine to get it, so they've got me. So
there you go.
There's something there.
Number 2, which I'm really glad it scored as high as it did, because I wasn't sure about this, is Peach Shakedown.
It's good.
And 8.42 is like solid in our like really good beers, right?
It almost won the night. We'll get to that in a second, but it's 8.42.
Almost, it really almost won the night. The packaging obviously is great because of Bob's Burgers type deal hand that's holding that peach, and then the creativity. Creativity of making a peach milkshake beer
that tastes the way that feels the way that this beer does. That's why I gave it as high creativity as I did, because that's hard to accomplish. Like, you can put a lot of stuff into a beer to give it the different textures, like the oat for smoothness and everything, but like getting a lactose IPA that's not like super cloudy, super hazy.
Yeah.
It's we talk about the crystal almost clear view of it, but it's so creamy and so full when you take a sip.
I think that's why I might have given it like a 10 on the intangibles part. It was for the sheer fact that it looks the way that it is, which is clear, but it tastes like this super creamy milkshake.
Tastes like a milkshake, and it smells pretty too. It did really well on smell as well.
Very pretty.
It's just peaches.
And then our top one, which I'm not surprised is just the solid regular dinner.
I feel like I brought like a heavyweight champion to like a high school boxing event.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, this guy, you're gonna fight him tonight.
But so it has an 8.45, and you can see like across the board, super high ratings, like taste and smell 8, like 9.5 in the taste. The packaging is still a 5 5.25 or whatever that we have here.
But
because it's so
be.
simple.
It should be that way because I mean you don't have a lot of distinction. I think appropriately, second dinner did slightly better, not significantly better, but slightly better than dinner, and that merits adding another word and changing the color.
Yeah, I think so.
But again, it's very on brand for them. One thing there that the reason I'm not putting it lower than I did is because it is on brand for them, and it is what catches my eye on a shelf. So like I know that that's a Maine beer, beer, so that is what draws me to it.
Yeah.
But more are taking note of that and kind of emulating this simplistic style, and it's becoming less unique. So it's not a home run for me, but I think that it's still an identifiable brand on a shelf. But when it's up against something like the Relsilience IPA branding or the artwork on that, it's a no-brainer which one of those has the better label.
Yeah, definitely. Is that it? Is that all we have for this episode?
Think so it's been a while, but I think that we actually still remember how to do this. So I'm looking forward to getting more done. I will say one interesting fact. During this long break, one thing I have done is met a ton of local brewers and owners of breweries.
Yeah.
I'm looking to connect us to those, and hopefully we'll have some more live episodes for you as far as, I guess live. Will we come to you live? We'll have episodes where we actually go speak to the brewers and do more brewery visits. Those tend to be pretty popular episodes, so keep an ear to the ground about that. And yeah, I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, you can email your questions, comments, concerns, and rants to us at somervilleandbrewcast@gmail.com. Please follow us on Twitter at SVBrewcast and on Instagram at Somerville and Brewcast. And visit our website, buy some swag at somervilleandbrewcast.com. Thanks to everyone for listening, and until next time, beep, boop, bop, beer.
So